Hi guys, I'm back again today with my top 14 books of 2014. I read some pretty amazing books last year, and even though I feel like I didn't read a lot of books last year, these were definitely the 14 that I just absolutely adored out of what I did read. I also want to apologise for the lighting in this video. It's going to be really off and on. It's going to be really sunny then really dark, but that's England for you in winter. It can't decide what it wants to do. So I've got my Harry Potter mug ready and I'm ready to go. So here are the top 14 books that I'd recommend out of any book that I read in 2014. The first book that I would recommend out of all the books that I read last year would be Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the conclusion to the Shatter Me trilogy. I believe I wrote a blog post review on this, so I'll link that down below if you want to know more about it. But as I said, it's the conclusion to the Shatter Me trilogy, which is kind of a dystopian but also kind of supernatural trilogy about this girl called Juliet who has this power where she can kill somebody by touching them. And yeah, it's just a really badass trilogy. It's kind of a mix between X-Men and Divergent, and it's really, really fast-paced. And this conclusion was just incredible. This book really blew me away, as you will be able to tell in my review in the down bar. But seriously, if you've never read the Shatter Me series, please do. Tahereh Mafi's writing is just stunning, and you will not regret reading this one. The second book is TheDarkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. So this is the first book in the Darkest Minds series, and I think there are 3 books. There's The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, and In the Afterlight. And I haven't read the other 2 books yet, but the first book was really explosive and really fast-paced and really, really interesting. It kind of introduced me to a whole different style of dystopian and post-apocalyptic writing, and seriously, I can't wait to see how the series unfolds. If you've not watched my previous video, which is my 2015 reading resolutions, I say that I want to finish off any trilogies or series that I've started in 2014 this year. My third favourite book of 2014 that I read was Looking for Alaska by John Green. I know I'm shocked as well that I never read it before 2014, but it was so good, and just all of John Green's writing just completely blows me away. There's something so beautiful about the way he tells stories. Now, my next favourite book of 2014 is actually one that I haven't finished yet, and it's taken me so long to finish, but that's because it's a really, really big book. But it is still amazing, and I know it's going to be one of my favourites when I finish it. And it is Air of Fire by Sarah J Maas. This is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series. It is a really, really badass YA fantasy, and it's about this girl called Selena who is an assassin, and she has a choice in the first book to become the king's assassin, and she has to kind of compete in this competition that will earn her her freedom as she's a slave. And from there on it just goes a bit insane, and this 3rd book, Sarah J Maas has really stepped up her game, and you can really tell that. There's so much thickness to the plot now. It's so broad, it's so there's so many layers, and it's just incredible. And if you've never read this series before, guys, honestly, this would be the #1 series that I'd recommend of recent years, the Throne of Glass series. You will not regret reading this one. My next favourite book that I read in 2014 is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Now, this is not out yet. This is out in February 2015, so we've only got 2 months to wait. But I got a proof copy from work, and it is one of the best young adult books I have read in so long. It is so good. It is kind of this dystopian society, but really thick on the fantasy element. This is a world where society is separated based on the colour of someone's blood. So there are the red-blooded people who are kind of the underclass, they're the lower class, they're kind of like the slaves, the labourers, the workers, and then there are the silver bloods who are the elite. They have magical powers, and they are basically ruling over the red classes, and loads of things happen. It's kind of a mixture between the Hunger Games, Divergent, but it's also got the fantasy elements of like Throne of Glass and things like that. It is so brilliant, and you will absolutely love it when it comes out in 2 months. My next favourite book that I read in 2014 is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. Now, this is the conclusion to the Mortal Instruments series. It needs no introduction. We have been waiting for this book for so long to finally know how the Mortal Instruments series ends, and it did not disappoint. It is a really huge book as well. It was like 600 pages or something, maybe even 700 pages, but it was so worth the wait. It was such a beautiful ending, and the Mortal Instruments series is one of my favourites of all time, and for me it was kind of a bittersweet thing reading that book because I didn't want it to end, but at the same time I needed to find out how these characters got their, you know, their happy ending and things like that, although some of them may not have got their happy ending. And it was just a really, really great book. I actually posted a video review of this, so I will link it down in the description bar for you all. If you've not read the Mortal Instruments series, please do. I promise you will adore it. And the spin-off series, The Infernal Devices, is also one of my favourites, maybe even more so than the Mortal Instruments, just because it's got that historical background and things like that, which I really, really love. My next favourite book of 2014 is another conclusion to a series. It is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. Now, this is the conclusion to the Shadow and Bone Grisha trilogy, sorry. The first book is Shadow and Bone, the second book is Siege and Storm, and the third book, Ruin and Rising. And this came out in, I believe, was it May, June, or something like that? It was absolutely phenomenal. I would say this is one of my favourite books of 2014. It may be even number one. It may be the favourite book of 2014 for me. Ruin and Rising took so many risks that really, really played off, and it's such a brave and beautiful series that I was really scared how it would end, because there is so much in these books. Like, it is so kind of woven with so many plot lines, so many backgrounds and everything like that, that I was really scared about how Leigh Bardugo would be able to tie up all these loose ends, and trust me, she did an amazing job. If you haven't read the series yet, I would really, really recommend it. My next favourite of 2014 is kind of a cheat entry, but it is an entire series as opposed to one book, and it is the Refam Series by Paula Weston. This is an angel series, and it's kind of based on lots of angel mythology and things like that, and it's about the Refam, who are kind of half angel, half human or something like that. But anyway, this book series is a new discovery for me, and I read the first book, Shadows, and the second book, Haze, and then the third book, Shimmer, in about 2 weeks or something. It was insane. I flew through these books and I was so obsessed with them. Like, I could feel myself kind of wanting the next book, like even before finishing the first one. And they completely consumed me. And I've talked about them quite a bit in some of my videos last year, but I would really, really, really recommend these books, guys. If you've never heard of this series and you really like angel books, so if you like Angel Fall, if you like Hush Hush, you will adore this book series. The next book is a young adult dystopian debut, and it is The Jewel by Amy Ewing. I posted a review of this on my book channel, so I will post the video down in the description. So if you want to know more about that book, you can definitely check out that video and it'll tell you all you need to know. I absolutely adored this book. It's gotten kind of mixed reviews. I know some people like it, some people kind of think that it was kind of a letdown, but for me, it really, really ticked all the boxes. I think it was a really powerful debut novel, and I really, really would recommend it. About this society where it's separated into these kind of districts and things, and people from the outlying districts are kind of surrogates for the wealthy upper classes because they can't carry their own children. And so our main character, Violet, she becomes a surrogate for this really, really wealthy family. But as expected, it's not just, you know, a simple process. There are lots of horrible hardships that she has to go through and loads of secrets that she uncovers, and it's a really, really fascinating book. The next book is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, the movie came out this year and that really encouraged me to pick this book up because I'd heard so much about it. So you probably have heard of Gone Girl. I mean, the movie was out this year, but also the book is so widely acclaimed. Like, so many people have recommended it to me and told me you have to read this book. So when I did, I was actually blown away. The twist is one that you will never see coming, and Gillian Flynn's writing style is really, really powerful and evocative, and it's a really chilling novel, and it kind of makes you look twice at people and, you know, doubt, you know, your relationships that you've built up around you and things like that. And it's a really, really gripping thriller of a novel, and if you've never read Gone Girl, I'm sure you've heard of it, pick this up because I've not read anything like this before, and it's really kind of encouraging me to get into the thriller genre and kind of read more of Gillian Flynn's books, because if they're anywhere as near as good as that, then they'll be, you know, amazing reads. The next book that I really loved reading in 2014 was a proof of this book called Summertime by Vanessa LaFay. So Summertime is a debut fiction novel. It comes out this month in January, and the publishing company I work for, Orion, are publishing it, and that's how I got my hands on a proof and everything like that. And basically, we've all been telling people, you read the first chapter or even the first page and you will be hooked, and that's how it was for me. It's a novel about the 1935 Labor Day hurricane set in the Florida Keys, and it is about these Black war veterans who come back from the First World War back to Florida, and they're kind of put on this work project, and they are greeted with horrible kind of racism, and on top of this racial tension comes this enormous hurricane, which is actually, you know, it's kind of something that not many people know about, but it was kind of the biggest hurricane that America has ever had, even bigger than Katrina and everything like that. The damage that it caused was absolutely phenomenal. And so yeah, and it's about how these townspeople survive with this massive hurricane. And wow, guys, this book is phenomenal, and on first reading it I was so gripped that I missed tube stop. Like, I couldn't put it down. It was so incredible, and really look out for this one coming this month. The next book that I thought was really incredible that I read last year was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Now, this has been getting quite a lot of buzz on the internet and things like that, and it's one of those books that I can't tell you anything about. The whole plot is kind of, you know, nothing really, it sounds strange, but nothing really happens, but it is addictive, and the twist will just blow you away. And it's one of these books that will grip you and keep you on the edge of your seat until you finish it. I think I read this in one sitting. That was how gripped I was. And just pick this up. If you haven't read this before but you've heard about it and you're intrigued, you don't need to know what it's about. You just need to pick it up and you'll understand. Some people say they saw the end coming. There's kind of a really big twist at the end, but I didn't see it coming, and for me that was what made it so brilliant, that I didn't know what to expect, and that really heightened my enjoyment of it, I think, not knowing what was coming, not knowing what the book was about and all this. So I really would recommend going into this one completely fresh and new and not knowing what to expect. And do let me know in the comments what you thought of this one, because I loved it. The next book that I absolutely adored from last year was Landline by Rainbow Rowell. This is Rainbow's latest adult novel. It is about this woman named Georgie, and she's married to this guy called Neil, and they have 2 kids together, and they're supposed to be going away for Christmas to Neil's parents' house. But Georgie's job kind of gets in the way, and she chooses to stay at home to work instead of going with her family, and then this magic phone gets involved. It sounds ridiculous, but it really works, and it's about her reconnecting with what made her fall in love with her husband, even though they're going through troubles and things like that. And it's just a really sweet and down-to-earth novel, and it's got that Rainbow Rowell humour, that wit, and the really like kind of amazing one-liners that really define Rainbow Rowell's writing style. I loved Landline. I think it was so sweet. It wasn't anything, I wouldn't say it was anything special, because that's the point of Rainbow's novels. Like, it brings to life every single day situations, and for me that's amazing. And my next favourite from 2014 is another series. It is the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and you've probably heard a million things about this, but I was really late to the party and I got on board the train a lot later, the Obsidian Train. So the first book is Obsidian, and then I believe it's Opal, and then Onyx. I could have those last 2 completely messed up. It could be Onyx then Opal. This is kind of a book about aliens and this girl who kind of falls in love with one, and the way the aliens are done is really kind of unique, and I really like the way that Jennifer L. Armentrout put this novel together and this book series together, and I really need to get the next 2 books. I believe there's Opposition and another one, I can't remember the names. They all begin with O, so it's very confusing. So guys, those are my 14 favourite reads of 2014. Please do let me know what your favourites were down in the comments. I'd love to be able to hear about it, and you know, so that I can get any recommendations and things like that. And do let me know if you've read any of these books that I mentioned in this video, and if you liked them, what you thought about them, because I'd really like to know your opinion as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, bye!